Welcome to the last section of 481. Now, I'm going to see if I can upload for future, because some of you are going to be taking 482 in the future, and you may need some of the PowerPoints that I have created for 482, and I'm going to try and release them to you. Or I may just put them on my blog or a YouTube channel. But with that said, let's just do this last section, which I know you're going to be excited to do because this is story problem time. Oh, how exciting! Now, when we do these particular story problems, I'm going to let you know that some of them are review, okay? And some of them are not so new, okay? The geometry part, I'm going to suggest draw a picture. The same thing with the Pythagorean theorem. Now, the Pythagorean theorem, I am going to let you know that the final exam has always had one problem from 7-6, and it deals with the Pythagorean theorem. And hopefully it is a story problem that you should be able to solve because it does two things. You have to FOIL and you have to factor. So be aware that you want to pay close attention to the problems we do with Pythagorean theorem. And then we're going to have some more applied problems, story problems, just what you like. Now, here is a set of instructions. I always like to put them there so that you can have some way of doing it when I'm not sitting next to you and you're doing your homework. Read the problem carefully. Now, I like highlighters, and I highlight certain things that are math focused. Now, I draw a picture, and that's normally with geometry problems or anything to deal with a story that I can make a picture for, because sometimes looking at the picture helps me solve it. Now, I'm going to define my variables. Now, as I've told you in the past, I like to use nouns, which means I use the first letter of the noun. So for English majors, you're going to like that. And then I'm going to translate the English words into an algebraic equation, and I'm going to solve it. And we're going to be using all of the methods or any of the methods that we've used in Chapter 7. Now, this may seem crazy, but it's saying check to see if your answer is reasonable. Well, in Chapter 7, you can get a positive and a negative number. The negative numbers, if you are drawing or building a fence or a brick wall, you're not going to have a negative length for that wall or that fence. That's not a reasonable answer. But the positive answer could be reasonable. So be aware that when you get to the end, negative numbers in quadratic, remember they have a power of 2, and hopefully not a power of 3 for some of these story problems. But you are going to find that you need to realize the negative answer is not going to work. Okay, here we go. A rectangular vegetable garden is 4 feet longer than it is wide. What are the dimensions, see that little s, of the garden if it covers 60 feet squared? Okay, this is a geometry problem. As I mentioned, you want to kind of read the problem, which we did, and I highlighted a couple of things, but I want to also make some more highlighting. Rectangular. Okay, what does that mean? That means I have a rectangle garden. Well, a rectangle has length. Okay. Okay. The rectangle garden is, well, 4 feet longer than it is wide. 4 feet longer, which means my length is 4 feet longer than the width. And what I'm doing is I'm using L length, W for width. Okay. Now, see this little square, this little power of 2? That means area. Now, area is length times, and I forgot my T, width. Length times width. Well, my width is W, my length is W plus 4, and this is going to equal 60. Area is length times width, a formula you should know for a rectangle. That little 2 says I have area. Now, I have my equation. But now here comes the fun part. This is not 0, which means what we just learned is going to be W plus 4 minus 60 equals 0. Equals 0. Okay, now this time I'm going to distribute, right? W squared plus 4W minus 60 is equal to 0. This is my equation that we've been doing in 7.5. Now let's go over to the next slide. This says W squared plus 4W minus 60 is equal to 0. I need to factor. Well, this is going to give me W squared plus blank, circle blank, minus inside that circle. I got to have a minus. Well, if you remember, this one is A. This 60 is my C. A times C, which is 60. Now, because I have 2 different signs, I want to subtract to get a positive 4. Well, hopefully you know 6 times 10 are the 2 numbers I need. But the 10W has got to sit with the plus. 6W is here. Okay, factor. Take out a W. W plus 10 minus 6. W plus 10 is equal to 0. This is going to give me W plus 10, W minus 6 is equal to 0. Now, watch this. W plus 10, if I set it equal to 0, because remember, A times B has got to give me 0. This is my A term. This is my B term. But this W is giving me a negative width. Remember I told you when we started this lesson, I can't have a width. I I can't measure negatively, but my b is going to give me a positive 6. So this 6 is my width, and 6 plus 4 is my length. Because if we go back to my picture, six plus 4 makes this length 10. Geometry, lovely stuff. Now, hopefully you haven't forgotten consecutive integers we did back in chapter 3. Well, they're coming. And if you plan to take 482, they're coming back again. Okay. This is consecutive integers, but this one is odd and even integers. You don't want to forget these setups. You had to have them memorized. If you haven't, flashcards, they work real nice with this. Now, here's why. Let's read my story. Okay. The sum of 3 consecutive even integers is 24 less than the product of the larger 2. Find the integers. Okay, we've read the problem. Now I'm going to go back and do a little highlighting here. 4 times the sum of 3 consecutive even integers is always an equal sign, 24 less than the product of the larger 2. Okay, I'm going to go back to a slide for a second. This is what we're looking for. Now, x plus 4 is my larger of the 3. So that means the larger 2 are going to be these 2. X is my smallest one. Okay. Now, with that said, here we go. 4. Now, times is going to indicate, because see that little word the? That means I have a parentheses. 4 times the sum. Sum is x plus 2 plus x plus 4. There's my is. This is 1, 2, 3 consecutive even integers. Now, now remember, this is 24 less than the product of the larger 2, which is x plus 2 times x plus 4. These are my larger 2. Well, let's do a little combining here first. This will give me 4, 3x x minus 24. And I'm going to make that a little better here. This is x plus 4. Okay. Remember, I got to get 0 on one side. This will give me 4, 3x plus 6 minus. This is a term. They all have to go to the other side of the equal sign. So I get 24. Okay. Well, here we go. Distribute with this negative sign because I have to FOIL first, which gives me x squared plus 6x plus 8, okay, plus 24 equals 0. Be careful of this negative. Now, I'm going to go to my next slide, okay, and what I have is 12x plus 24. Now, I'm going to distribute that negative sign, which is negative x squared minus 6x minus 8 plus 24 is equal to 0. Notice that my binomial, x plus 2, x plus 4, everything became negative. Now, we're going to combine terms, but write them in descending order. Well, this is going to give me negative x squared. That's that term. Well, I've got to take 12x and a negative 6x. And then I have a plus 24, a minus 8, a plus 24. Well, I have 48. 24 plus 24 is 48. Minus 8 gives me a positive 40 is equal to 0. Okay. Now, do you see that I have a negative 1 here? I'm going to have to factor out that negative 1 because that's just a number. The number can be factored out. I don't have an 40, so I don't have to worry about that. But this will give me x squared minus 40, and it still gives me 0. I've got a factor. This gives me x squared minus blank, circle blank, minus 40 is equal to 0. Now, hopefully you know that here is the plus, and the numbers, remember, which is 40, and the two numbers that subtract, remember these are different signs, are 4 and 10. They make negative 6. This x minus 10 10. Okay, this is x minus 10, x plus 4 is equal to 0. Okay. Now, this problem has two sets of answers. And you're going to say, what? Well, let me go back a couple of slides here. Integers are positive and negative numbers. This is why the reasonable part comes in. Integers are positive and negative numbers. Well, if I take this, I'm going to get a positive 10. Add 2, positive 12. Add 2 again. This is one set, but it's this second set you got to be careful with. This is negative 4. Add 2, and I get a negative 2. And I get 0. This is plus 2. X plus 4 has two sets of answers because of integers. Integers are positive, which are these, and negative, which are these. Now, this one is bringing in an old concept that hopefully from prior math classes. Right triangle is geometry. And I'm going to make you a little picture here. Okay, it's going to have a little box. This side is A, this side is B, and this diagonal, which is known as the hypotenuse, is C. Now, A, yes, you can switch them. I could have put where B is and B, but the C can't be switched. It's got to be where it's at. Now, hopefully, you remember from prior math classes how to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And we're going to give you a little bit of a hint. This is my A side, this is my B side, and this is my C side, which means x squared plus 3 squared is equal to 5 squared. X squared plus 9 is equal to 25. Now, remember that little 2? I want 0 here, which means I get x squared minus 16 is equal to 0. Okay. Well, remember how this factors. It's got a minus in it. Which is going to factor into x, 4, 4, or x minus 4, x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now this is a triangle, okay? This is going to give me a positive 4, because when I take x minus 4 and set it equal to 0, I get a positive 4. But if I take this side, I'm going to get a negative 4. I can't have a negative answer because A can be negative. -4 is not going to work. This length of A how do you measure -4? Reasonableness comes in this problem. You've got to be able to, in this case, realize that the negative is not going to work. Okay, now, here comes the fun part. Story problem. Okay? One piece of wood is in the shape of a right triangle. Okay, picture time. Okay, now, one leg. And we're going to say, this is my one leg, is 5 inches shorter than, now, the other leg is this leg. This is my other leg. That's going to be X. So one leg is 5 inches longer. Whoop, longer means plus the other leg. This is my other leg. But I don't know what its length is, so I got to give it X. But the hypotenuse, okay, see that is 10 inches longer than the shortest side. Well, if you think about it, this has got to be the shorter side because this side here is 5 inches longer. So X is the shorter side. Now, because we have a right triangle, it's a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, which is other leg plus one leg equals x plus 10 squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now, this is the equation I'm working with right here. And it's got the little 2 at the top. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide right here. It says x squared. Now, I want to write this out. This is x plus 5 times x plus 5. Because remember, it had that little 2 up there? Is equal to x plus 10, x plus 10. To solve this, I've got to get 0 on one side. This term, okay, this is going to become x squared plus x plus 5 times x plus 5. Now I'm subtracting this term, which is why I'm going to put it in brackets, so I don't lose the negative sign. I've got to distribute it to everything here. Well, here we go. This part, I've got a FOIL. This side, which is going give me x squared plus 5x plus 5x plus 25. Now, I can't lose this negative sign. This is going to give me x plus 10x plus 100, and that's still equaling 0. Well, let's combine terms. Okay. These two are going to give me 2x 10 plus 25. Now, don't forget, I have this minus sign. We're going to combine terms. This is going to give me x squared plus 20x minus or plus 100. Now we're going to distribute. This gives me 2x squared plus 10x x squared minus 20x minus 100 is equal to 0. Everything on this side has become negative. We brought it to the other side. Now we're going to combine terms. Okay. This 2x and negative x is giving me x squared. Positive 10 and negative 20 give me negative negative x. Now don't forget, this is going to give a negative, and before I forget so that you don't see, okay, this was a positive 25. This positive 10 and negative 20 gave me here. Positive 100, negative 100, or positive 25, negative 100 give me negative 75. Now, this is a lot of work, but notice, to get 0 oil twice, and I have to be careful of that negative, because this term, which is 2 parentheses back to back that I'm foiling, has got to come to the other side, and it has got to then distribute that negative. Let's go to the next slide. This says x squared minus 10x minus 75 is equal to 0. I now have to factor. X squared minus blank, circle blank, minus 75 is equal to 0. This is going to give me a plus. Now, 1 and 75 are my A times C, which is 75. 5 times 15. 15 has to sit here. 5 has got to sit here, which means I have x minus 15 plus 5, x minus 15 is equal to 0. My parentheses are the same. right here, x is 15, set equals to 0. But be careful, this is a triangle. I am going to get a -5. That answer is not reasonable. Okay, I'm going to go back a couple of slides because we know that x is 15. So one side is 15 inches right here. My second side is 15 plus 5, or 20 inches. And then my third side is 15 plus 10, or 25 inches. These are the lengths of the sides of the board. Took me 2 slides to find those, but it's a lot of work, and it's watching signs. Now, this is one problem, that it's the words that you have to understand in this problem, okay? They are quadratics, okay? But if you understand what the words are meaning, some of these answers, you don't have any math to do. You just have to look at your picture. And let's go here. A little league baseball player throws a ball upward. The height of the ball in feet, t seconds after the ball is released, is h equals -16t squared. Notice it's got a little 2, plus 30t plus 4. Okay. Now, this is where you have to understand the words. Okay. The initial height. Okay. What does that mean? Okay. I'm going to draw you a little picture to make sense. This is the baseball player. He is 4 feet from the ground. And he hasn't thrown the ball. He's 4 feet tall. And from his hand, which is right here, well, the initial height of the ball is the height at time 0, or the height the ball is held by the player above the ground. So that means my initial height is going to be 4 feet. 4 feet. Because the height at time 0, that means before he even throws the ball, okay? And probably I should make a little better picture here, okay? This 4 feet is from this ball to the ground. Here's my ball, is the height of the ball, the initial height of the ball before the player throws it upward. That's what initial means. Time is 0, which means he's holding the ball. Well, how high above the ground does the player hold? Well, it's right here. It's 4 feet. Okay, now let's go a little further here. Now, this is saying how long. That's time. That's time. I want to find that t. To take for the ball to reach a height. That's h of 18 feet. That means in this equation, I'm writing 18 equals negative 16t squared plus 30t plus 4. Because I have this 0, or this 2, remember, I got to get the equation equal to 0. 16t squared, but this time plus 18. Combine these terms. Oh, and that's got a t right here. The t